Okay, so before we continue on, I think we should talk to Haravias. Ugh. Man, I can't believe druids are so bad. That's kind of sad, right? They have interesting spells. Maybe I shouldn't make him melee, but then his shapeshifting would be completely useless. What are you good at? I need a hunting bow for you. I don't have a hunting bow right now, do I? I have a crossbow. Mmm. Yeah. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Okay. Okay. As a peripatetic loner, I am not privy to the latest news, but the Hollowborn Children is a tale that has reached even my reclusive ears, or rather, ear. Hmm. What do the Glenfathen druids think of this plight? He looks askance and shrugs. I don't even know what askance means. It's been a long time since I've spoken with my circle. They probably tell you what I tell you. This plight was most certainly the consequence of someone trespassing into Inguthian places not meant for folk. I mean, what else other than the gods could inflict punishment of such impressive scale? What are your thoughts on the Hollowborn? His eyes meet yours, and his usual default smile becomes a frown. Anytime a life is separated from his soul, his voice trails off. He has several starts and stops before finally deciding how to finish his thoughts. I wanted to pretend it was just a rumor when I first heard of it. In my youth, I cursed the Drywoodians for being ignorant despoilers that breed out of control. But soulless babies? What heartless gods would inflict that kind of tragedy? No parent or child deserve to be a part of that horror. Hmm. Okay. Tell me about yourself. My second favorite subject. He runs his finger through his scalp, preening his fur. Hmm. What would you like to know? How did you come to be trained as a druid? Haravias thumbs his half-shredded ear and thinks to himself for several seconds. It wasn't entirely my choice, not at the start at least. My ambition was to be a hunter. I merely arrived by a different trail. As a child, an Empheth came to visit. An Anemeth? Anempheth? Oh, an honored guest is occasion for a grand chase, but I was left out, instructed instead to be cupbearers to the old wise one, while the rest were on hunt. I'm sure you can guess what happens. Why Enefeth gives dumb child a shred of attention. We ended up talking until the hunters returned. He gave me his hand darts across his body, scouring the pockets and folds of his tunic. This, he presents a rusted iron medallion fashioned in the likeness of a hound's head, a common icon amongst the frontiersmen, explorers, and other seekers faithful to Gallowayne. The Anathas insisted I be trained, and none in my village would defy him. Now, he smiles broadly. I don't need a bow to hunt. Where are you from originally? My mother's crotch, he says. You? Ah. What a coincidence. also came from your mother's crotch. For the record, only I am allowed to insult my mother, but I respect your dedication to banter, so I'll let it slide. He narrows his one eye at you, this time. I grew up in Irglenfath, specifically in and around Thanbog. My people, the Fisher Crane tribe, are migrant stewards of the land. I walked the whole of Glenfath many times. What's the story behind the symbol of whale on your eye patch? Whale is known as the eyeless face, so this symbol seems a good fit for my eye patch. He absent-mindedly runs his finger along the strap of the patch band. Whale iconography is rather popular in my home tribe, but it seems he is not as widely venerated here in the Drywood. I remember thinking that if I concentrate my eye to he who obfuscates and reveals, then maybe with enough devotion, Will would make use of this old ruined thing. He pulls on the eye patch strap and let it go with a loud snap. So, if you think you see me staring at rumps and cleavage, it's really just the will of Whale controlling my gaze. Honest. Oh. What's your relationship to Gallowayne? I was raised as a disciple of a seeker god. He is a champion of the hunt, be it the simple struggle for sustenance or the scholarly pursuit of knowledge. In my older years, I found, he cuts himself off, shakes his head, and starts again. Life has shown me that I am more suited to the way of whale. The furious hunt for knowledge often outpaces the journey to real understanding. Druids are known for changing into animals. What sort of creature can you become? He takes a half step backward as you ask the question. All sorts of things, he said quietly with a long, uncomfortable gaze. Haravias stares at you blankly, arm folded. Let's discuss something else. Any man with your scars has a story to tell. I'm just going to ask you later if you don't tell me now. Yes, yes. He grips his forehead and turns his face away from you. I suppose you should know. I struggle with spirit shifting, the final rite of passage in my druid training. I prayed to Gallowayne for insight, and, in the style of seeker of old, went to the forest alone to ask for guidance. Then I got my answer, he shrugs. An answer, at least, in the form of a vibrantly colored stelgare that pounced from the underbrush and made a salient demonstration of its capacity to eat things 1/15 of its size. Hmm. As awful as that sounds, it's one amazing rite of passage. Well, he shakes his head. You actually meant that. He blushes and looks down at his feet with a smirk. Thanks. My kin didn't find anything positive about this tale. As the beast was loping off bits of my handsomeness, I remember trying to fight back, swinging with arms too short to reach. I felt I had the energy for one last swipe at the beast's nose, and when I lashed out with a punch, my arm felt twice as massive and my fingers sprouted talons. In a rush of power, I shifted into a mirror of my assailant. Apparently, he couldn't pick on someone his own size. By the battle's end, his severed arm was in my maw. The beast limped away in defeat. That's quite an impressive tale. I thought learning to spirit shift would win me some respect. Maybe trap myself in a deer and lass with a lust for little men. Alas, I might have been better off staying a novice. When I wandered back to my village, I saw my wounds and asked what happened. I showed them. The name they called my form was the Autumn Stelgare, and his mouth opened, but he hesitated for a long moment before choosing his words. They were not impressed. The Rio of my circle believe the autumn Salguero to be a heinous abomination. It is said that if it eats you, your soul is invariably lost. As this was my first and most intuitive form, they deem me a carrier of its evil. Even though I never so much as threatened my kin, I was ruled unfit and cast out. Haravias sighs, scratching his scarred face. I don't know what message Galloway was trying to send. The only lesson I learned was that the seeker god will punish you for seeking. So you're some... I'm not gonna... if that's... So you didn't choose your spirit-shifting form? No, he says in a huff. It chose me, or so I imagined. I always assumed I would shift into a stoat. Seems more true to my nature. He points to the embossed pattern of whale on his eye patch. As the obscure teaches, when the answer is inscrutable, one must be content to ponder the question. So you're some sort of soul cannibal. Jarvis stares at you with a frown before covering his face in his hands. No, he mutters. At least I think not. I never actually sat down and eaten an entire person to find out. I'm not that curious to find out. Were you at least recognized as a proper druid? His brow furrows. No. But I know I passed the initiation rite 5 times more perilous than any of those kin betrayers that insisted I was a failure. Can you learn to spirit shift into something less terrifying? I already can, and sometimes do, he says with a beaming smile that quickly returned to a scowl. But the druids of my circle assign great meaning to one's first form. I'll always be unclean to them. Thank you for sharing your story. He blushes and tugs at his tunic. Well, if you don't know me, you can't trust me. And if you can't trust me, odds are, you'll leap in front of a flying arrow to save my life. I've been meaning to visit the druids of Twins Elm to see if they know more about my spirit shift. If your journey takes us there, perhaps they can enlighten me with more information about Autumn Stelgar. He clears his throat and puts on a painted smile. But for now, maybe we can talk about something less depressing. Okay. I want to hear more about Galloway and Whale. He stares at you blankly with one eye. Oh. Not sure what more there is to say on the subject, unless you're itching for religious debate. Tell me more about your thoughts on Whale. I came to know Whale in earnest in the first years of my exile. I asked myself why Galloway would punish me for asking questions. What just a fair god would punish me for doing as he asked? Questioning why I had been mauled just drove me mad. At the height of my worry, I would have dreams where I only saw with my injured eye. My healthy eye became blind in my dream. He lifts up the eye patch so gently, itching at the socket. You catch a quick glimpse of a puckered and scarred absence under the whale-embroidered patch. So, one afternoon, I stitched a stylized patch motif on the patch. I like to think if it's as my self-initiation rite into the Brotherhood of Whale. Whale is not an instructive or overbearing deity. He does not freely dispense wisdom and expect all of us to question and explore with our own minds. Will remind me that curiosity is being receptive to any and all kind of truths, not hunting for any one answer. Has Will ever actually spoken directly to you, or sent you a sign? No, never directly, he says with a smile. Which is as it should be, given that what he represented, or represents. I especially like how Whale never send wild beasts to maul me, but maybe I have low expectations of such things. Let's speak of something else. What more can you tell me about Galloway? A frown overcomes his face as he ponders your question. Consider it as a lapsed devotion. I will always respect a seeker god, but he visited my ruined nation on me when all I sought was knowledge, just as he taught it should be. He meshes his fingers together and flexes his digit until he The joints pop and click. Galwain left his mark on me. When I see my shifted reflection, I'm reminded of his presence. Galwain still inspires my fear, just not my worship. Do you think there's any possibility that Galwain was trying to help you, albeit in strange ways? I suppose that maybe. His one eye squints and his face contorts into a frown. Certainly there's the chance that Galloway was trying to help by making me blind and deaf to everything on my right side. But put yourself in my paws. Do I then go back to commune with the woods to him again and invite another attack? It would be suicidal leap of faith to ever go asking Galloway for anything. He spits on the ground. Anything. Okay. Tell me about Erkel and Fath. It's a verdant land of history, culture, and natural beauty. His voice falls into a half whisper as he adds, and we already had enough unwanted pet trespassers, so I recommend you never visit. Do you miss it? Used to, he says with a slight frown. He scratches his shredded ear and looks eastward. It's home. I'll go back eventually, but... He turns his attention to his shoulder and picks a small seed from the fiber of his tunic. See this? He holds up a seed. I know it's just a seed, but I never seen this type before, and I'm itching to find out what grows from it. Every day I see something new out here. I'll return home eventually, but for now my curiosity exceeds my nostalgia sevenfold. Why should I avoid Erkel and Voth? He looks at you puzzled. There's no cities to visit, no center of commerce to explore. It would seem most visitor comes to our land to pillage the Ingwithian ruins. The ancient Ingwithian gave the forest to our ancestor, and in return, we watched their ruin to see to it that they remained untouched. And before you ask, no, we don't have a secret passage phrase or hand gestures. Nobody enters the ruin, not even the guardians and watchers. What can you tell me about your tribe? I'm from the Fisher Crane tribe. Most of my Most of my people live far to southeast in and around the Thane Bog. He weaves his fingers together and cracks his joints in a flexion motion of wet snaps. The tribe is not one great renown, but we... Haravias pauses for a moment. They protect their lands in accordance with the sacred oath of old, and as much as it pains me to say, I wouldn't want any other tribe's name attached to my own. Did you go up in the bog? Only briefly. Here, let me show you something. Don't commit any of it to memory, please. Haravias rolls up his sleeve and shows you his forearm. The soft brown fur of his arm is lined with faint stains of henna and scar tissue. This is where I grew up. On the migration trail, I had it marked on my arm during my training. While much of the tribe guards the Thine Bog years round, many of us, including the circle of Hawk and Ivy, honor the oath by patrolling lesser-known ruins scattered throughout the land. He points at several of the henna crescents on his forearm. We eschew houses, take only what we can carry, and move camp every 2 moons to ensure that all our sacred rites are visited at regular intervals. This nomadic patrol is how my druid circle came to name itself. We circle and protect like hawks, but we only ever patch the ivy of the ruins, that is, nearby trees, never enter the builder's lair. Why aren't the Fisher Crane well regarded? Because the other tribes are insufferable sibling spawn. He grins broadly and stares at you for several silent moments. I suppose the Fisher Crane have a reputation for being passive and reluctant to fight. which is another way of saying the other tribe fight hard while we fight smart. Our namesake, the fisher crane, is a marshland raptor or raptor, whatever, that remains stark until stark still from sunrise to noon. We are invisible steward of the land and patient hunters of those who trespasses. The tree Tustelgar tribe see our methods as soft and unbecoming, but I hear they use the same word for cousin as they do for whore in their dialect. Just an observation. Could you join a different tribe? Haravias frowns and shakes his head. There are tribes that would take me. The Trice-Split Arrow adopt outcasts like myself, but their ways are not my own. Some of them live under roofs. How obtuse. He looks off to the southeast and sighs. I long for home. Just not any home, but Whale has made my wanderings fruitful, and I accept it. I accept that it may not be until my soul passes that I would rejoin the Fisher Cranes. Okay. Aren't most Orlands in Erglenfath wild? Wild! His voice raises an octave in indignation. Goodness. Yes, I suppose all of us were a bit wild, as my tribe was migratory and we didn't live in permanent houses. But I understand what you're trying to ask. Yes, a slightly plurality of Glenfathans. Wow. Orlands have forest plumage. Growing up in the meadow plumage, I was assumed to be weaker than others my age. The huntmaster of my tribe only choose apprentices of the forested kin. Or rather, Haravias mockingly clears his throat, wild Orlands, as they're called among slave-owning bigots, as well as bigots who broke into to own slaves. I grew up in Erglenfath, specifically in and around Thine Bog. My people, the Fisher Crane tribe, are migrant stewards of land. I walked whole Glenfath many times. Okay. What do the Glenfathan thinks of the Gyrewood and his people? Haravias spits. Foreign looters obsessed with wealth and wine. Many of their bowels be obstructed with pus-weeping nodules, every one of them. His scowls linger and he scratches at his ear stump. Not that you're asking a neutral party. When I was an insufferable child, I usually was. My parents told me the Daiwoodins would enslave me in this life and next if I didn't behave. But I'm in their lands now, and I will, in the interest of academic fairness, admit I met several decent, mostly non-rabid Daiwoodins. He looked askance and folded his arms. But my suspicion about them all being drunkards has proved entirely accurate. I wonder what great wonders they accomplish if all sober up. I grew up in Erglenfath. Oh, okay. I already asked that. Keep talking. Okay. Can we discuss our party members? Haravias steps in close and speaks quietly, curious about your compatriots. Whom in particular? What do you think of Adir? He chuckles. He's nasty, brutish, and tall. So two-thirds like me, I suppose. After a short chuckle, his voice falls gravely quiet. The circumference of his neck exceeds the circumference of my torso at its thickest point. They sure do breed them big and dumb in the Dyrewoods, don't they? Haravias smiles and scratches the film teeth as he studies your reaction. I'm being a brat. Truthfully, I think the guy is a lot more gentle than he pretends. He's certainly got a big heart for animals, at least, which is rather telling of who he is under that soldier exterior. What are your thoughts on Palagina? Her zeal is sincere, and I can tell you she's destined to die on her feet. And she's easy on the eyes. Can't fathom a thoroughbred, that's what I always say. His voice become a near whisper as he adds, I wonder if she has a cloaca or not. The curiosity is killing me. Cloaca? Yeah, a cloaca. A combination of feces shoots and happy slot. Birds usually have these hybrid holes, and I figure she might too. What? Don't look at me like that. Haravias nods. We can speak another time. Lead the way. Oh, goodness. What do you make of Alith? Him I don't mind so much. Though I could pitch a tent with a pull wedge up his anus. Haravias snorts and wipe his sleeve across his nose. I can smell something funny on him. 2 cents? Not quite. Well, whatever it is. Take note of his mood swings. I don't think he's unstable. I just think he has a lot going on up there. Sagani, what's your impression? She actually steps lightly when we travel outdoors, which is more than I can say for the rest of you. He looks at Sagani and slightly nods for a moment. She's not here! They do things differently where she's from, but she knows her way around the woods almost as well as I do. Almost. Any thoughts on Rua? I think I could fit 3 of me, plus a remainder of a 4th Haravias inside that giant. Gods, I am glad he's friendly. Haravias chuckles and scratches his ear stump before adding, and between you and me, he has a better singing voice than the prettiest lasses I knew from my tribe. It's 1 part unsettling, 2 part arousing. And it makes me wishes I still had both ears. Tell me about your thoughts on Durance. Haravia smiles. Love at first sight. It's like whale carve an ever-changing gash in his brain, and every hour he's a different flavor of angry. He scratches his eye patch and chuckles softly. Durance make me feel I am the sane one. He smells like fear in the morning and rage in the afternoon. I'm keeping an eye on him. He laughs. But he's a laugh, but he might someday be a problem. Okay, and that's all about Haravias. Jesus Christ, took 30 minutes to read through everything. Goodness. Oh, whoa. I need everyone, not just you. Oh, what? I can't go down there? I guess not. It needs to stop raining or something. Alright, let's go to Dyfort Village then. Since there's nothing much for us to do anywhere else. Come on, load already. Jesus. Through Death's Gate. Find someone in town who knows about the ruin. The world has not given kind. Oh, this is the... An elf idles by the road, watching the village across the river. He nods as you approach, and the cowled figure standing near him falls silent. Greetings! A long look of horror slowly forms his face. Blazes! You've just come from the village, have you? How bad was it? Awful. Smell of cabbage and pig shit. A grin suddenly breaks his sober expression. Then I suppose it's a good thing we're on this side of the river. The gravity returns to his voice. Seriously now, I'm looking for someone. Who? Haven't you heard? There's a murderer on the loose. She says to have gone mad with grief and strangled a dozen healthy children when her own was hollowborn. He nods at the figure with him. We've come all the way from Defiance Bay to bring her to justice. So why are you still standing here? He nods across the river. She's hiding in... Sorry. He nods across the river. She's hiding out in the village. We go in after her ourselves, but the problem is she knows our face. There's no telling what she'd do if she saw us coming, and we like to avoid any further unnecessary bloodshed. He leans closer. Her name's Knifefred. She's in Orland. We want to get her out of town so that we can deal with her cleanly. She knows we're looking for her, but if someone were to convince her that it's safe to leave. If she's a mass murderer, why didn't the Duke send the Crucible Knights after her? So, a look of disdain flickers across his face. It's quick, but you catch it. The powers that be want to keep things quiet, for obvious reasons. Better not cause fuss, and certainly better not startle her into doing something drastic. I could draw her out. He nods. She won't know you. It'll be simple. I have a few questions first. What did Knifefred do exactly? She was responsible for the murder of all those babies in Defiance Bay, remember? Terrible things. But we'll make her pay, alright. Well, any luck with Knifefred? Remind me who I'm looking for? Okay, goodbye. Got more fucking Kickstarter people. Oh, there's nothing north of the village? That's not good. Oh. Selby. And Harbinger Baelmar. The old man turns as you enter. His face is covered in bruises and his lower lip is swollen. Out with you! I already told you what... He stops and peers at you, squinting through black eye. I'm sorry. I thought you were one of those ruffians. Adair grunts in disgust. These times we live in. He gives you something what? He gives you something between a smile and a wince. How may I help you? What happened to you? He hobbles over to the filmy window. I never saw their faces. Strange, hooded men asking about those runes. Cleoban Relag. He peers through the dirty glasses. Most of the brigands who come through here ask about the ruins are looking for a few ancient trinkets. But these people knew the name, and they were in a hurry. They wanted to know where Cleoban Relag was. I tried to keep it from them, but... He carefully probes a patch of blue skin around his cheekbone. I couldn't hold out forever. He limped away from the window as shaking his head. I don't know what they're up to, but they can't be good. Alice looked at you, frowning. What blah, 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 blah. That does sound like the lid and key, doesn't it? The old priest nods politely. Is there something else I can help you with? Can you tell me where to find the ruins? The old priest tugs his beard and frowns. The Glenfathan tribe that guards the ruins will kill anyone who trespasses there, and will retaliate against us too if history is is any indication. My God, I cannot read today. We've had too many fortune seekers stirs up trouble of late. If I'm to tell you, I'll need to know your reason for wanting to go. This is Haravias. Haravias folds his arms and stare at you with one eye and a scowl. So, this is where I say go into the ruins and I'll kill you, and that's when you say, Haravias, I'm a watcher, and you're no match for all of us, and we've got a good reason for this. And then I give up trying to argue with you and leave you to dig your own trespasser's grave. And I'm only being half metaphoric. All these words, so hard to pronounce. We sometimes make Daiwoodian digs our own grave before we kill you. When the kids hear about it's a fabulous detergent. It's a dangerous plot there, unfolding there. I've got to stop it. A weary sigh wheezes out of his throat. If that's the case, then we may already have trouble heading our way. I'll have to take you at your word. He pulls out a faded map, points to a spot in the woods. You'll find Cleob and Relac there. Whatever troubles you find there, please end it quietly and try to stay out of the ruins. Tell me about Direford. Folk here tend to keep to themselves, as they do in most towns this deep in Direwood. They're suspicious of travelers, but with all the brigands and refugees moving through the area, who can blame them? This is a temple of Burith. What can you tell me about Burith? Burith is the most universal of all gods. It oversees portals and cycles all kind, even life and death itself. Under Burith, an ending is merely a passage to another beginning. Burith has many representations across time and across cultures. Around the Direwood, you'll commonly see it as depicted as the Pallid Knight or Usher. The Glenfathans, however, know it as Baywin. Baywin I and Q. And a QI Baywin. Oh my god, all these fucking names. Jesus fucking piece of goddamn. Tell me about the Pallid Knight. She's one of the youngest manifestation of Burith, but a familiar one nonetheless. Stories describe her as a gaunt knight in black armor with black eyes, black hair, and milk-pale skin. She demands an impossible toll from travelers who have tarried too long on her lord's road. Some challenge her only to slay themselves in the process. Who is the Usher? Kith have written stories, songs, and poems about the Usher for centuries. Sometimes he's folk, sometimes he's dwarf, and sometimes merely a walking skeleton. He never speaks, but he guides the way to death and the next life. He also creates the circumstance for the wayward to stumble into their own grave. I never heard of Baywin. Baywin E and Q and QE Baywin. It means life and death and life, respectively. You see them as two skeletal figures, one male, one female. Explorers have found them carved opposite one another in doorways, but I know of no particular legends speak to them. Oh, I've seen those depictions before. God, that fucking sound bug is goddamn annoying. Ah. Why can't I go there? Oh, okay. I guess I have to, find different passage from the village. Cat's tail. Or river reed, whatever. Just call it a fucking cat's tail. Alright, we're finally in a new town. Word, traveler, I only require a moment. The guide gave you an appraising eye. You certainly come to Dyewood, I take it. I don't suppose you saw a young elven noblewoman on the road. I was stuck in this wretched place with the rest of my unit until we find her. I haven't seen anyone like that. Shame, as anyone else in this blazing village, he sighs. Perhaps you could speak to Lord Hara in the inn anyways. He'll be grateful for the assistance, and it could be the locals, will open up to you about his daughter's disappearances more than they have us. Oh god, I just gained 3 new fucking quests. Okay. I don't have any events going on right now. That sucks. Okay, let's go in this building. We'll see what we can find. The cutest cat. Oh. I am definitely going to get an SSD drive. This is insane. I mean, it's not going to arrive in fast enough for this game, but future games will be much faster on the loading times. I wonder how much a 2 terabyte SSD drive would cost. Probably $400, $500. So, it's like 2 weeks worth of pay. Oh well. I will do it. I'll buy it. Because, oh god, it's nighttime already. Rumbled. Damn Gallowings for monsters like that. And damn the rest of the gods too. A man paces angrily in front of the wrecked animal pen. His sun-weathered face twisted with ire. He's also wrapped up in his fury. Wow. He also wrapped up in his fury that he doesn't seem to notice you. Gallowin's sobering beast, blazing bloody effigy, thrice damned salty wrench in her soggy. What's wrong? That monster stole my pig, or pigs. Tripes into the village, tore down my pen, and made off with the whole damn herd. Just left a few little runts, and what am I supposed to do with them? Calm down and tell me what happened. He bites his lips and closes his eyes, his nostrils flare with each quick, angry breath. Wife's always telling me to mind my temper. Just breathe deep and count to 10. He sighs. An ogre moved into the area not long ago. Folk have been seeing glimpses of tracks around the wood, but it seems to be staying away from the town, or so we thought, until it made off with my pigs. Now everyone afraid of going to develop a taste for kiss. If it hasn't already. Do you see the ogre take your pigs? What else could have destroyed my pen and made off with my herd? And at the same time, the rest of the village is seeing a 10-foot monster in the forest. Yeah, but if a 10-foot monster walks into the village, it's kind of hard to miss. So if no one else saw it, it's unlikely to be the ogre. Aggressive too, he gives you a appraising look. I knew a few toughs like you during the Saint War. I know it's too late to get back my pigs, but I'd set my mind at ease to see that thing's head shorn from its neck. In fact, you bring me its ugly pace to me, and I'll trade you for something of less use to a farmer like me than to a rowdy-looking sort like yourself. I've been sent to find an Orin named Nyrid. Do you know where she is? Never heard of her. What do you know of the ogre? It's the same as any other, I'm sure. Big, ugly son of a bitch with nasty temper and appetite to match. Try to tell you more. He claims to have seen it in the woods. You can find him in his shop right by the broken tower. He waves a hand. But is not a tiny compared to the sort of beast you see up here in the living lands. Intriguing. So there's an ogre somewhere around here. Okay, going south leads me to nowhere new. Wonderful. Okay, I think we're going to leave here for this video. And next one will be exploring this village. Because I don't want to halfway explore this village and then have to cut the video.